You're watching Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
The LA Kings say that another team is trying to intentionally hurt someone. Pot, kettle. Let's get into it with the lead. Like a young carrot top with all my props, Liam. This one came to me at 12:01. It's actually the reason we started the show late, because I had to go run to the kitchen and grab them. Welcome into Oilers Nation every day. Live from the Sports Closet studio. From jerseys to hats to the legendary foam finger, you'll find it all and more at the Sports Closet. Find them online, sportscloset.ca. Shows a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. That made sense, right? Also, this one came out of the dishwasher. Your noodles are still kind of in the bottom of it.
Yeah, I thought I put the dishwasher on a 4-hour delay on Friday or Thursday.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Didn't go on. I actually grabbed a cup out of there, filled it with water, then looked down and saw that where the tablet goes was still closed. Quickly realized what I was about to do to myself. Didn't do it. Thank goodness.
Welcome into the show. Steven Ellis is going to join us today on the program. All of you people who were saying I was being a little bit too much of a Debbie Downer yesterday when it comes to the prospects, we'll just get Steven to give his opinion. He's the one who can actually talk about them. He's the one who watches all these guys. He's Daily Faceoff's prospect analyst. We're going to talk a little bit about that game last night, I suppose. We're going to look for your takes. We're also going to get a little poll going in the YouTube chat as well. So lots going on today on the show. First off, we don't need to actually talk about like what went on in that hockey game, right? Like,
no, because I didn't watch the third period.
Yeah, I made it 10 minutes through, and then I was like, wait, I'm just on my phone this whole time, so I turned it off and went to bed.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat for the second period. I was I don't really want to do this anymore. It was a preseason game yesterday, and we don't watch preseason games.
No.
Historically, we have never been engaged in the preseason. People actually don't like that, I've noticed.
That we don't watch preseason games or watch the team?
They don't like it that we don't, it seems like. But what I'll say is, you can't make me. And I will not do it. I think, what day is it tomorrow? Wednesday? Thursday will be better. Which I didn't think I would say against the San Jose Sharks.
You mean Wednesday?
Do they play Wednesday or Thursday?
They play Wednesday.
So tomorrow will be better. Thursday's the last game of the season. Now I get it.
Yeah, I mean, even that, like, I'm mildly interested in Wednesday's hockey game. Watch McDavid get to 100 points.
Yeah.
Edmonton should win, but yeah, last night, like, they could have lost 12-0, and I wouldn't have cared. They could have won 12-0, and I mean, maybe if they would have won 12-0,
I would have been awesome.
I would have cared.
I would have been like, haha, we beat you with our B team here. But still, even though the game didn't really matter, there were still some interesting things that came out of it. So maybe we should just kick things off with our one big take. It's brought to you by Service Credit Union. The Service Big Share Contest is back, and it's your chance to win $1 million just by saving money. Anyone can enter by becoming a member, and saving with Service. Every $500 you save gets you 5 entries into the Service Big Share Contest. Contest ends April 30th, 2025. Skill test required. For all the rules and to find out more information, go to service.ca/win. All right. The Darnell Nurse thing is obviously the biggest outcome from this hockey game, or the biggest storyline that came out of this hockey game. He's given a 5-minute major and a game misconduct for cross-checking Quinton Byfield in the head. I would argue he was probably getting, he was getting a cross-checking penalty for this, and then he got the 5-minute major for that. Pretty cut and dry for me. Middle of the game, you're getting 5 in a game for that. You can't cross-check someone in the head. Simple, right? Mm-hmm. Now today he's going to have a hearing with the Department of Player Safety.
Fair enough. He absolutely should. If any Oilers player got cross-checked like this, I would say, yeah, the other player should probably have a hearing. What I'd also add is that if a player were to get, elbowed in the head while he's not even playing the puck, Corey Perry, Radko Gudas, I think the other player in that situation should probably get a hearing. If a player were to get slew-footed behind the net, Mikey Anderson, Leon Draisaitl, I think the player should get a hearing for that. If a player were to grab a guy, kick out his feet, and throw him to the ice while the play is going on, Adrian Kempe, Connor McDavid, or was that also Leon? No, that was Adrian Kempe. You're also missing one other thing from that game.
Oh, am I?
When Alex Laferriere picked up McDavid's legs on the board and dumped him to the ice.
Yeah, I also think that should be a hearing.
I think any time that a non-hockey play, I guess you could call it, occurs, then something should happen, even if it is just a fine, which should be upped. But that's another thing. But how many games? That is the ultimate question.
Well, so in the poll, can we put this in the YouTube chat?
I made one poll already.
I mean, that one's obviously going to be a no.
No, 103 people.
Yeah. Let's do a new one. What will the outcome of this Darnell Nurse thing be? Option 1, let's do a fine. 1 game, 2 game, 3+ games. That can be the options on the poll because he's at least getting a fine for this, and he should. You can't cross-check someone in the head. I think he should get 1 game for this. I think if this was January, there would be some amount of justification for Darnell Nurse getting 2 games for this. I don't think, and one area that you do factor in is how hard he cross-checked him. He definitely gave him a shot, but this was not a stick all the way back, follow through all the way, and drive his head into the ice. Again, this first cross-check is definitely a cross-checking penalty. This second one is where you get the discipline, but that's a shot more than it's driving a guy's face into the ice. And I do think there is a difference when you look at the Department of Player Safety on that and when you look at supplemental discipline. Like, I think these factors should come into play. Where where I draw the line at 1 game is because the second game of any suspension would be a playoff game. And the Department of Player Safety has always operated on the basis of 1 playoff game is worth 2 regular season games. So is this act, considering he was thrown out halfway through the game, which is a factor, is this act worth a 3-game regular season suspension? I just don't see that at all. I think he's getting 1 game for this. He'll sit the final game of the regular season, sacrifice a little bit of pay because of it, and he'll be back for game 1. That is what I believe should happen from this. Now, where I get nervous, Liam, is when I read Darren Dreger's tweet. He says, don't expect Nurse news anytime soon. Due to the Oilers' travel schedule, the hearing isn't being held out until later tonight. I would be surprised if more than 1 game. Fine also possible, but then he adds this last part. Bit of a message before the 2 teams meet again in round 1.
Perfect.
I think the Department of Player Safety has put themselves, or is going to put themselves, in an absolute pretzel here. Because if they give Nurse 1 game, then you could say that the LA Kings have a green light going, whoa, that's only worth 1 game? We can cross-check McDavid like that, and we're not going to get a single playoff game? And in that sense, I wonder if maybe we're not going to get to 2. So I'm somewhere between 1 to 2 on all of this. I think there is a lot of logic in not giving him a second game when you look at how supplemental discipline is usually doled out. I think, and my concern is that the league is going to want to send a message, and they're going to give him 2 games and try to deter players from doing shit like this when these 2 teams meet in the playoffs in 5 days.
Well, I wonder, just the McDavid and Tyler Myers, obviously, both got suspended for cross-checking this season and both got 3 games.
Decent point. So that would lean more towards...
I think it's 2 games, and I think another factor in this is the NHL is just going to look at the Oilers' remaining schedule and be like, okay, well, they have 1 game left against the San Jose Sharks. They've been resting everyone anyway. Why would we... That doesn't seem like a punishment, I guess you could say.
Sure, but they also love doing this. They just did it with Paul Cotter. They gave him 2 games. Yeah. It's the final 2 games of the Devils season, and he's ready to come back game 1 of the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it'll be 2 because I think it was direct intent to cross-check him in the head, which is what the word essentially was when McDavid did it. His intent was to cross-check Connor Garland in the face. And I think you could argue this is, no, I don't
think it's worse because, again, he doesn't really drive through all that hard. Like, he pops him, I think. It's on the line.
One way to defend Nurse in this, Andrew Mangiapane got suspended for something somewhat similar. I don't know if it was last season or one before. It was very recently. I think it was only last season.
I think it was this year.
No, it wasn't because he was on Calgary. Jared McCann was laying on the ice. Mangiapane was sat on top of him, and he just cross-checked the back of his neck. But there wasn't like the intentional shot. I can't remember how they got to that point. I think he'll probably end up with 2 games, unfortunately. I'm trying to find other ones this season that have been cross-checked.
Well, Hartman is an outlier because he had such a long rap sheet. I'm watching this Mangiapane one.
Timo Meyer got suspended for cross-checking.
Oh, man. That Mangiapane one is so much worse.
It is way worse.
And he got one
and
game.
He got one game.
And that's why, that's why the whiteboard's the wheel today, because they're very obviously just going to spin the damn wheel. But, like, there is no logic or carryover, which, again, this is a debate I got into someone with on Twitter, where the NHL does have a history with Darnell Nurse of ignoring precedent.
Oh, yeah.
Against the Vegas Golden Knights 2 years ago, Alex Pietrangelo was given one game for lumberjack chopping Leon Draisaitl's arm off, and Darnell Nurse was given one game for an instigator penalty in the final 5 minutes of the game. If you go back through the history of the league, they always, in the regular season, rescind that instigator penalty and don't give a suspension. They decided to say, no, we're going to keep it for Darnell Nurse, so Vegas can't get mad at us for suspending Pietrangelo. It's evened up. They love evening shit up. And that there, if you don't believe, because I don't think there is any like Oilers bias truly. Like, come on, the Department of Player Safety, we don't need to do the whole they hate us, blah, blah, blah. They don't. They're bad at their jobs, but it does not come from a place of hating the Edmonton Oilers. If you're going along the lines of they want to send a message, but they don't want to give any team an advantage, then they give them one game. But then you open the door to an Oiler getting cross-checked like that, and we're not going to be happy about it.
What did Carson Soucy get when he got suspended in the playoffs? I think that was a little bit different because he was obviously Zadorov cross-checked him in, was it one game?
One game.
Which I guess would have been two. Like, that's the thing. There was three in the season this year. There was the Myers and McDavid one, and then Timo Meyer, Tyler Myers, Connor McDavid.
What Meyer gets again, sorry?
One game for what basically happened was Zachary Leroux grabbed his stick, had his stick, and he was dragging it back, and as he pushed it forward again, it caught him in the chin. So, bit of incidental contact in a way. I think it'll be two. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like, hey, maybe be a bit smarter, but also, too, like, we've been asking for the Oilers to show this level of, like, aggression around the net all season. I think we've seen it a lot more recently than others times, but tough one, especially with Ekholm out. It just makes it so much worse.
Yeah, the end of our poll over on YouTube, 51% of you say one game, 25% say two, 18% said fine, 5% of you said a 3+ game. It's not going a 3+. They're not going to make him sit the first 2 games of the playoffs.
I just spun the wheel. Landed on 3 games.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. Damn it.
Sorry, boys.
And Gabriella says Byfield is not missing time. They're milking it. Byfield is fine. Yeah.
Did he come back?
No.
No? But also, too, like, why would he?
Why would he? And also, yes, you don't think the LA Kings want to play that up a little bit so the Department of Player Safety will go, well, the player didn't return. The player didn't return, right?
Yeah, I don't know. The LA Kings wanted to win that game so bad yesterday.
So bad.
And, hey, like, I think they're trying to prepare for the playoffs. Like, it kind of is what it is. But, like, the comments from Philip Danault, like, I also understand them in what he's saying. Like, you just watch your teammate get cross-checked in the head and leave the game. Like, your emotions are obviously high. But, like, come on, man. Like, let's not pretend that we've done this is normal. And, you know what I mean? Like, you guys are just as bad as you guys.
And, you know what, as much as we're going to sit here and rip the Department of Player Safety, and I just took a shot at the LA Kings, Darnell Nurse, be smarter. It's a nothing hockey game at the end of the season, and he has a history of doing this. The headbutt, you can talk about the instigator, and now this. He has a history of, let me put it bluntly, doing dumb shit at bad times.
Yeah.
And I really wish he would lose that in his game. As much as I love the fire and I love the passion, and he had a wonderful game leading up to that point. Had a great play where he walked through the entire Kings. Like, Darnell Nurse has had an awesome season, and when he's on, which he's been for a lot of this year, I want to keep, because I don't want to rag on Darnell because he gets way too much hate. He's had a great season. Mm-hmm. This is just boneheaded. You can't do that. So, yeah. Let's continue along to some other stuff. We saw the comment in there from, talking about the Philip Danault thing from yesterday. So Danault comes out and says the Oilers basically have their B squad and are trying to hurt the Kings, which again is just so objectively hilarious. And sure, whoever Ben Ross is, shout out to Ben Ross. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I don't think the Oilers were trying to hurt the LA Kings last night. They were playing physical.
I mean, that Darnell play was, but like, I think this is obviously a comment after Darnell Nurse, and the B squad. It was arguably their C squad. Cam Denny and Josh Brown played.
Yeah, but Philip Danault saying, I think they just have their B squad in trying to hurt us. Like the Oilers are doing this on purpose? Everyone's hurt.
Yeah, totally. And that's what Perry said too in his postgame.
So
like,
that's what Perry said. Here's the quote. Gregor had it. Corey Perry here. He said, "What the fuck? Excuse my language, but what do you want us to do? Did he not see what has happened over the last couple of weeks? We're not out there to hurt anybody. Let's move on." And then, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, is this rivalry? You could kind of feel it yesterday. There's a lot of extra scrums. You know, and even Danault, like, he took a run at Connor Brown in the first period, which somehow resulted in a penalty against the Oilers. Like, the refs
He also took Corey Perry's stick from the bench.
Yeah, like, the refs were on something else yesterday, too. Like, even to flip it onto the other side, like, what did Warren Fogle get called for?
I don't know.
Like, I don't really know what that was. And, yeah, the refs seem to, like, want to get a hold of this game before it got out of hand, but arguably just allowed it to get out of hand because of how terrible half their calls were. And look, don't get me wrong, the Oilers didn't lose this game because of the officials. They lost the game because they didn't play anybody. But the officials, it's just like, come on, man. Like, put your whistle away, run this clock, let's go to bed.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I tweeted yesterday. It was like, yeah, I said, no more penalties, run the clock, let's all go to bed. There's nothing to read into from this game, from the result that came out of it. Again, that is pretty obvious in all of this. I just thought Danault's comments, again, it's part of a rivalry, sure, but it's just so funny to hear him say that after what we watched the LA Kings do every single playoff series the last 3 years and what we've seen them do pretty much every game this year against the Edmonton Oilers. It's rich coming from Danault. Again, pot calling the kettle black. It's just whatever. And people are talking about it's the Wes McCauley show. If it's a game on national TV, you better believe Wes McCauley's trying to go viral.
Yeah, he's had his moment.
Yep.
He wants more of them. Credit to him. He's just knows how to be the biggest character on the ice.
And he loves it. You can just tell when he gets up there and he's doing his big, deep voice with the mic turned on.
Fighting.
I'm on Prime. It's Monday.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. Honestly, I've said this a bunch before. Like, I don't know half the officials' name in the NHL, and it's a good thing. If you know an official's name, it's because they're bad at their job.
Yep.
Wes McCauley, Chris Rooney. What's the other fella called with McDavid in the rivalry? Paul Skillett. That's wrong.
Oh, Graham Skilleter.
Scott Foster of the NBA.
Scott Foster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't tell you 10 officials in any sport.
Yeah.
But I know those ones because they're bad. But hey, they'll probably get the Stanley Cup final this year. That'll be exciting.
All right, let's continue along. Let's take this in a bit of a different direction here. For our friends at Short Ford the Giant, a Short Ford Giant question brought to you by Nation Valet Service. Never visit the dealership again for routine car maintenance. It's as simple as that with our friends at Short Ford the Giant. Hockey fans helping hockey fans. First off, quickly, super chat from Duran, who said on Got Your Back, they made the point of the LA power play using the same players as PK and all forwards and to give McDavid free opportunities on the PK to exploit that. I don't fully understand what that says, actually.
But thank you for
thanks for the super chat. Made the point of LA's power play using the same players as the penalty kill and all forward. I'm so confused.
Oh, the power play is all forwards. I think you worded it wrong. They use 5 forwards on their power play. There's no defense.
Oh, Kempe plays the point. Okay. Yeah. Interesting, I guess. I don't know exactly how McDavid.
Maybe tiring them out.
Oh, okay. We figured it out. The Kings use all forwards on their power plays. So should the Oilers use McDavid on the penalty kill to exploit that? No. Focus on killing the penalty.
Maybe at the end.
Yeah, but again, by the end, they put the second unit out with Doughty. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you're trailing in a game, if you're down like 3-0 and you're like, shit, we need a spark. Yeah. Sure, but I would hope it doesesn't get to that point at all. Short for Giant question. Let's say Darnell Nurse is unavailable for game 1 of the playoffs. Who draws in, Liam? Because you would have Bouchard, you'd have Kulak, Emberson, Stetcher.
Klingberg, would you assume he's available?
Hurt. Are we missing someone?
No, because Ekholm's out. Wallman.
Oh, yeah, Wallman.
This is what it was last night.
Yeah,
okay, so Wallman would take 1. So it's basically a question of, do you want to play Josh Brown or Cam Dineen? Oh, boy.
How exciting. This reminds me of the one time they had to play Griffin Reinhart in a playoff game.
This reminds me of the one time a week ago when they had to play with 5 defensemen.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you just dress a 13th forward.
Not a terrible idea. The Leafs did play Mitch Marner on the blue line for a couple of shifts the other day. Maybe the Oilers can just do Alec
Stetcher's
Regula.
played forward. Flip him.
Yeah, flip him.
I think you do Brown and you only use him on the PK.
Although
he also played 3 minutes last night. It was -3. Like, ugh.
Yeah, he was on the ice for the first 3 goals.
But he brought the boom.
He did hit.
He was
someone.
bringing the physicality. Just
I think
not really good at anything else.
I think he just hoped Klingberg can play because while like Danault and Brown obviously are healthy, like Klingberg should be better than both of them. Has been around the team obviously longer than this season. Like,
But Klingberg is hurt and unavailable.
yeah, I'm suggesting if this is game 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, Klingberg. Gregor says he's done.
He's done. Oh, I
Gregor
thought that was
said
more of
Klingberg's
like
played his last game as an Oiler.
oh, then Josh Brown it is. I guess like he would be good to have like. If this, especially being on the road, like if it gets start getting physical, like you can.
That's
throw him
Vinny
out there.
Desharnais right there.
Yeah, Vinny's better than
Vinny's
Josh
much
Brown.
better,
for
but I
sure.
mean that he brings the physicality, stand in front of the net on the PK, block a shot or two, get to the
Yeah.
bench.
It basically depends on, do you want the penalty killing of Josh Brown or do you want the better player in Cam Dineen?
I would pick Josh Brown for the penalty killing. Losing Nurse, you're already down there calling me down 2 penalty killing guys. Like Brown's probably your best option. Not a great option, but it's probably him. And then you would have 3 left shot guys. Yeah, 3 right shot guys. Probably the truest. A third poll.
Wow, we're heavy on the polls today, but that makes sense. That's fine. I like it.
It's voting season.
I think people
folks.
are going to vote Dineen. I just think the case for Brown to play 4 minutes and just kill penalties
not
is
bad.
there. You are, though, and I am, like, this is a terrible conversation to be having. One that 2 weeks ago I thought would have been impossible. You're running the risk of Josh Brown being -2 in, like, the 2 minutes of 5-on-5 play you give him. But the penalty killing could ease off the workload of some other guys, which has some amount of a ripple effect. Versus Dineen does still also have the liability in his game. A little bit of puck moving, a little bit of offensive upside, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, I think, on either option. Travis Dermott, Jaden said, I mean, he's still not played for Bakersfield for a while because of his new baby, so I don't know what the story is fully there. I think Brown, again, we've had Coleman out and Nurse. You need a penalty killer, and it has to be him. As much as I really don't enjoy saying that.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on all of this. 79% of the chat saying Dineen. I just think you're going to be disappointed.
I think
really
you're
do.
right.
Yeah.
I think he's right. Obviously, the better option, but I think the realistic option is Josh Brown.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's depressing.
That was
Yeah, how
fun.
exciting. Surely the Oilers have a really good prospect they can just throw in for a game. Right?
The 1 year we don't trade a 5th-round pick for someone at the deadline. Eh?
No kidding. Like,
Is the 1 year you need them.
Cam Dineen, Philip Broberg breakout, anyone?
Probably not.
we
Probably
don't
not,
need until
but-
round 2.
Probably not. 5D, 13 forwards. I mean, again, you would just play Brown and
Hope for the best.
hope you get a couple of penalty kill minutes out of him and it doesn't kill you. But, I mean, hopefully, Darnell Nurse gets 1 game and this isn't even a conversation that we need to continue having. That would be nice. Okay, let's continue along. Star Mechanical Guest Line, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more by visiting them online at starmechanical.ca. Daily face-off analyst, prospect analyst, draft expert, a man of many titles, and that is Steven Ellis, who joins us on the show. You put on display your Pat Maroon orange jersey for us?
I got it for exactly $19 the day before the shutdowns happened for COVID. So I cherish that because that was a scary time.
Did Steven Ellis's Pat Maroon jersey purchase cause COVID? We don't know. But you're here to talk prospects with us, Steven. The Oilers have made a bunch of signings over the last little bit, and you're a guy who watches more hockey than anyone. But let's start with Quinn Hutson, a guy who we saw make his debut last night. I think halfway through the game, he'd only played like 5.5 minutes. And granted, they played him more in the third, but we didn't exactly get a great look at him. What's your view on the oldest Hudson brother? Is this a guy who has some NHL upside in his game, and where's his range, I guess, is a good way to start?
So fun fact, there's a fourth Hudson brother, Lars Hudson. I don't know if he's going to be good enough to get drafted. He's an '08 born. I don't know if he'll be good enough drafted in his draft year. We'll see, but that's a hockey factory right there. When it comes to Quinn Hudson, this is someone who's a very late bloomer. Like you look at his stats and his career trajectory. He played a couple games with the U.S. U18 national team as a 20-year-old, which is pretty rare, obviously, but he did that because the NTDP rules is like, okay, you have to be under 18, but like no one's preventing us from using an older player. When you look at him, you look at the numbers. He was very productive throughout his entire year at college, very good in the power play, and he's also quite physical too. This is someone who is only 5'11", so he's a bit bigger than Quinn and or Lars. The other guys, Lane and Cole. There's too many Hudsons, man. But so he's a little bit bigger than them, but he's got that really energetic nature to him. Like he feels like a guy that if he's going to break through to the NHL, and I'm not sure he is, he would be good in a bottom six role because he's someone who just wants the puck, and he's had to spend his whole career proving people wrong, just like his two younger brothers have. But he's had to do it. You know, he's 23 years old. He's older at this point. So I saw him up close at the Leafs development camp last year, and I thought with him it was. He can actually do quite a bit around the net, but he's not exceptional in anything. I think he's going to have a bit more of an issue trying to handle that physical element of the pro game in the NHL, but I was really happy to see that he did make that lineup last night.
So is it maybe fair to say that this is a guy who maybe even at the start of next season needs a bit of seasoning in the American League to learn how to penalty kill at the pro level and maybe just learn how to play a bottom six role if his ceiling is just a third, fourth liner?
I think even calling it the ceiling, I think it is still a bit unrealistic to think he's going to be a full-time NHL player. But he at this time of year when you're signing a guy out of college or signing a guy out of Europe, you're hoping you can get some games out of that guy. And with Hudson, that's what you're looking here. Like if he ends up playing 25, 30 games in the NHL next year, that's a win, 100%, because this is someone who never looked like he was going to be an NHL caliber player. So the fact that he could be on the radar, he realistically should be on the radar next year. Like this is not a good pipeline for the Oilers. Going out and getting him without having to use any development assets. You didn't have to have him sit in Bakersfield for 3 years before you had to decide whether or not to do with him. I think that is it's good scouting by the Oilers department there.
What do you make of Otto Leppanen? I saw you put out a tweet saying how strong of a signing this would be. Like, do you think he has a chance to be a consistent NHL player for the Oilers? Like, what are we looking at here?
We'll see. Like, this was not a good year to sign guys out of Europe. But with him, this is someone who has generated some NHL attention in the last couple of years, and that's because he's so skilled with the puck. Like, of any player in Europe you could have signed this year, this was the one I would be targeting, and that's because he's got that ability to play a high-end offensive game. Like, he puts up over 50 points in the Finnish league. That's hard for a forward to do, let alone a defenseman. It's over 60 points. Forgot about that. He is a bit of a defensive liability, though, and that's where I think he could fall short in the NHL, where he'll try to do these creative plays, but he's not overly big, and he does give the puck away a lot. So on one hand, giving away the puck a lot means you also have the puck a lot yourself, but at the same time, there's been too many unforced errors, which kind of give me pause. But again, if you're going to sign anyone out of Europe, this is the guy to do it, because that high-end skill is a lot better than what you usually find out of somewhere like the Finnish Liga.
So, again, maybe a situation where this is a guy who they're not signing him being like, he's our number 6 next year. It's a guy who's a bit of organizational depth, I suppose, with upside.
Like for him, it's like, okay, I get a chance to prove what I could do in the NHL. And we've seen a lot of guys like that in the last couple of years where they'll come over and it's like, all right, I'll give myself 1 year to see if I could do it. If not, I'm going to go make a lot of money back home and play a bigger role. With him, that's what I'm looking at here. Like, he's probably not in your opening night lineup, but he's someone who should play games in the NHL next year. And if you're hoping that maybe, like, he's really good on the power play. Like, I don't see a role where he could kind of fit in the Oilers on the power play, but I would love that to somehow happen, because I think he's actually about as smart as it gets, utilizing that open ice to make things happen. It is a bit of a different situation going from that big European ice to going to the NHL, but it still feels like someone who, I think he knew he was going to sign an NHL contract pretty early, and I could see, if you watch clips from him in like October compared to like March, and seeing how he just starts to use the middle of the ice a bit more because he doesn't have that extra space towards the boards to use. I think that he really adapted well. So I do like this signing a lot, but yeah, he should be in Bakersfield to start the year, and I do think he'll play some NHL games, but he's not going to be an everyday NHLer, I don't think.
One guy that they signed, and maybe he is the one guy who I'm looking at going NHL guy from the jump next year, would be David Tomasek. Again, put up some really, really good numbers. Am I correct in thinking that he could be the one of the group that's like, he's going to play NHL games from the jump next year?
Yeah, 100%. And that's some really good numbers there in the Swedish league. That's not an easy league to produce. Like when you look at that and you see point per game in most European leagues, that's tough to do because scoring is just not as high as it is there. Like that's why you look in the KHL and there'll be like 30 goalies with a save percentage of like 930 and above. Like that's just how European leagues really kind of operate. In the Swedish league is no different. I really liked watching him last year at the World Championship. This was someone who was playing top line for that Czech team for a little bit, and then David Pastrnak showed up. He got pushed down a little bit, but he's really good at face-offs. Like that's one thing he wins a lot. I wonder if he plays wing in the NHL or if it's something where he gets more of those defensive roles. He can play on the penalty kill. And I think he's also capable of playing with some really high-end talent. So I think you're looking at a guy who maybe at best he's probably fitting in on your third line, but he can step up higher in the lineup. But again, as I will always point out, when it comes to these European signings, you're talking about 25, 26, 27-year-old guys who are starting to peak at that age. Might not have been on anyone's radar. Tomasek has been on radars for a while. Like he's not an unknown quantity, but we'll see kind of what he could do. But I do think he should be a full-time NHL player next year.
Josh Samaneski, close enough. He seems like someone who does have a bit of promise too. Like only 23 years old,
he's
6'5",
he's huge.
Played on World Junior teams. Like, is it fair to say that he's, I guess, got the highest ceiling out of this group of players, or do you think that even that's a bit of a stretch?
I like Tomasek more, and I feel like he's just always been someone who has been on radars. When it comes to Szymanski, I remember watching him play at the Brantford 99ers back in the OJHL years ago, and was not someone who really stood out because he was, even at the German like U16 level, he was never that productive. It was someone who always seemed to play like he was good in role situations. So going out there and putting up the numbers he's put in this year, the German league has shown that, yeah, he can actually be quite productive. He's physical. He's defensively smart. I think you can look at him and say, maybe you can throw him in front of the net. I don't know if his skating is fully at the level that you kind of want at the NHL level, but I think that what we've seen from him is just a long-term project guy that has started to figure it out, and that's another signing I like. But Tomasek feels closer to being an impact player right away than Szymanski does.
And one thing, even if, 3 or 4 of these guys don't end up playing in the NHL next year, I do think the Oilers are recognizing the mistake they had this year of not having enough talent down in Bakersfield. And I know injuries played a really big part of that, but that team down there was just not good from Jump Street this season. One really exciting prospect, and again, a guy who I'm looking at and I'm writing him into my lineup for next season, and I hope I'm not butchering his name, but it's Maxim Berzikin. Can you help me with that?
I think it's Berziukin.
Berziukin? All right. Either way, what do we make about his chances? Like, I see Bruce Kurlock every 2 days being like, another 2 goals in the KHL. He's putting up unbelievable numbers in the K. The Oilers are apparently trying to get him signed. Have you seen any of him? Can you give us any insight into how high of a level of a prospect he is?
There's been some people who wonder if he's got the skating to kind of make it work, but I think with him, there's enough natural ability there. Like he feels like a perfect, like he's a natural born athlete. He's got that 6'4" frame. When he gets up to speed, he's hard to contain, but I feels like sometimes it's a bit too slow to get to that top speed. So we'll have to see there. But I wrote last year that this was a guy that once his contract is over, you got to bring him over. And it's because he hits hard, he moves well. He's been this guy that was a really late bloomer. And, in 2020, that was the first year where COVID impacted the draft. He didn't fall to the 5th round because they didn't get a chance to see him. It's not the situation where in-person viewings are difficult because of either COVID or the war going on. In this case, they knew what he was capable of. And I remember talking to a scout around that time and said, if this guy's got the tools to be a good player, if he could put it together every single night, he's going to be good. And what we have seen is, I'd say entering the season, I think he was a top 5 prospect for the Oilers. I think he's still definitely a top 5 prospect, and I think he's going to be more of a bottom 6 player. That's just kind of the situation, the role I think he's going to get. But going out there and being productive this year, being productive a year ago, like even as an under 23 player, it is hard to put up points in the KHL. And he was one of the more productive guys at that age group. And that's because he's always trying to get to the net. He's hard to beat along the boards. I don't think he's going to be this physical force, but he's got that size that he will be hard to take the puck off of. And you put that together, yeah, he is a legit prospect.
I have one non-Oilers related.
How about
The Central Scouting list came out today. I think the final one of the season, the rankings. 3 crew players on the list, by the way, Steven. You probably saw that. Any big takeaways from the draft? Like any surprises? I know it's just kind of a general list for the most part, but anyone that you kind of were like, oh, this guy's way lower than I thought he would be? Probably the 3 crew players, I would assume.
I just got back from Canada's under 18 camp. I actually have not looked through it enough myself here, but I will say that the gap is closer between Schaefer and Misa than I would have said a while back. Like I'd say Misa is that number 2. Looking at the list now, Radim Murka, number 5, is interesting. I like him, but there's defensemen I like more. Kashawn Aitchison. Just get all in on the Kashawn Aitchison train. I know I'm trying to. They got him number 9 here on the scouting list. I think I have him 9 among all positions on my draft rankings coming out next year. If you're a defenseman, the number one thing I want to see out of you is make yourself difficult to play against, whether that be your play reads, your physicality, the way you could score goals, or just in your own zone, just be defensively capable. He does all of that together, and I don't think he's getting enough love for the draft. I put him as high as number 7 on my last ranking. Some people thought that was too high. I moved him down to 9, and I still think that that's higher than most, but that's because I truly believe in a guy who wants to terrorize every single person he sees, but he's smart. Like, he goes for a hit. He doesn't go for dirty hits. He goes for good, clean hits. He's very good at that. He's not huge, but he's got pure strength. Watch out for Kashawn Aitchison.
I know we talked on DFO Live, this might have even been a month ago now, about how whoever wins the draft lottery actually could have an impact on who goes first overall. Do you stand by that still? Is it up to a Schaefer or Misa, depending on who wins? Is there anyone else in that conversation?
Like, I think if the Sharks take, if they get the first overall pick, I think you got to take Matthew Schaefer. They've got some decent defensive prospects, but they don't have a Matthew Schaefer. And for as good as Michael Misa is or James Haggins, they've got Will Smith, they got Macklin Celebrini, they got Quinton Musty. Like, they've got these guys who could play these roles that Misa could also do. They don't have a guy who could control the blue line like Matthew Schaefer. If the Blackhawks get that first overall pick, I'm looking and saying no brainer for me. It's got to be Michael Misa, because they need someone who's got the competence and skill to play with someone like Connor Bedard. If Nashville gets that first overall pick, that's when it gets interesting, because it's like, do they take James Haggins? Like, they would need that number 1 center of the future, and they can get that. So yeah, I do think it is team dependent, and that's what's going to make this both fun for the average fan, but also annoying for the media who have to write 4 different stories in advance of who might go first overall. So that's a me only issue.
I'm fair enough.
I'm also really intrigued. Like, it just feels on paper like such a natural fit for James Haggins to go to Boston. He's a BC guy or a Boston College guy. Like, that lines up. I wonder if there's a scenario where, let's say the order stays the same and it goes San Jose, Chicago, Nashville, Boston. Does Boston sit there and get any sort of an itch to jump up to 2 to make sure Nashville doesn't take James Haggins, or you don't buy that?
I don't think so. Mostly because for Nashville, there's a few different ways they could take this. Like, I think that they probably should like Porter Martone. Like, for me, I think if you're Boston and you don't get Haggins, and you're looking at, and let's say Schaefer, Misa, and Haggins are the first 3 guys off the board, I wonder if they take Jake O'Brien out of Brantford, a guy who just had under 100 points this year, and it felt like he was like a quiet 98 points this year. Good playmaker, does a lot of the stuff that James Haggins does. So, like, if you miss out on Haggins, you could take Jake O'Brien and still be quite happy and not have to give up any assets to make it happen.
Interesting. All right, Steven, you got anything else?
I was just going to ask, what did you think of that McKenna goal the other day? That was insane.
I remember watching so much of Connor Bedard in his draft year, and I feel like I never saw the same number of high-end skill goals that we're seeing out of Gavin McKenna. And it's like every goal Gavin McKenna scores is like, whoa. okay. And I'm disappointed we're not going to see him with the U18s. But you're looking at this and in Medicine Hat, next year, that team, when they go to the Memorial Cup, could look a lot different. So I think this is the year you want to go out there and win and make sure you at least get that. And Gavin McKenna is a guy who could do that no problem. Like, you look at this, just who thinks like that? Like, seriously, the ability to put it behind the back, start, stop without any hesitation. He loses his own momentum, but still has that skill to pull that off. Like, that's not a goal you're scoring in the NHL, but that type of pure skill will translate. And Gavin McKenna is amazing. I love watching him play. And hey, if the rumors are true, maybe I'll be able to drive to go see him in Plymouth next year.
That's another thing too, is like, man, if you're the CHL, what can you do, if anything, to ensure going forward you keep these guys in your league? Or is this just going to be something that over the next few years we see the CHL trend towards being a league where it's more about the 15, 16, 17-year-olds?
Well, see, you look at the OHL draft this year was an interesting one, because this isn't a situation where you've got all these guys threatening to go to the USHL anymore. But what is knocking players down in the draft rankings are the guys who are saying, hey, I'm only going to play 2 years here and then go to college. Now, so much could change. Those players could get NHL entry contracts and they can't go play college, and that changes everything. But you look at someone like Henry Muse going over to play at Michigan, and that's very interesting because he's a guy that you would have thought would have got an NHL entry-level contract by now. So for him, it's like, oh, okay, so he's going to go play college. Sure, he's really good friends with Michael Haig, the Montreal Canadiens prospect. I know, Porter Martone's a guy that's been linked there. Like, there's going to be some tough decisions to be made. And you look at Sudbury, they gave up a ton of capital to go out there and acquire Henry Muse for basically 30 games and an early playoff exit. So that part's interesting, but there's still a lot of unknowns. Talking to a lot of people heading into the OHL draft and the OHL Cup about both, junior hockey and the NHL. Nobody knows what's going to go on. And seeing guys like Muse make that move early, or Caden Lidstrom, as we expect, is going to go to MSU. Like, we're going to start seeing this, the big dominoes falling. It's one thing for a 20-year-old or 21-year-old overage guy going. It's a different when you're like a legitimate top prospect in the NHL doing that. So we'll see how that kind of works. But this OHL draft that just happened was that first draft in Major Junior where we got to see kind of the impact of guys falling because they've told teams, I'm only going to be here 2 years. Again, so many things could change, but I think that's going to change how players get evaluated for Major Junior and going forward at the NHL draft.
Steven Ellis on the Star Mechanical guest line. Thanks for popping on, Steven.
Thanks so much.
There you go, Steven Ellis, Daily Faceoff. Top 75 coming out next week as well for Steven. You can read all his work over at Daily Faceoff. He is also brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated since 1972 with more than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. For more information on their large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds or the Charm Diamond Flexity card, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. We got one comment from Maynard who said the McKenna goal, kind of showy for me. I mean,
showy?
They said that about McDavid and they said that about Crosby and Ovi.
We cheer for Connor McDavid, brother.
Yeah.
He does that all the time. What are we talking about here?
For me, if you want to play it again, Aaron,
Yep.
What's so impressive for me is, like Steven said, that's not a goal that you can pull off at the NHL level, but what it shows me is that he is thinking the game at a level that we've never really seen. Like, to sit here and say, I'm going to halt my momentum in order to create space, like, that's crazy. That's insane.
I've never seen a goal like that before.
It's incredibly unique, which is the true mark of a truly elite prospect.
Yeah, it's a Medicine Hat too, to like give them some credit. Is like they've done such a good job of building a great program around this kid as well. Like, a lot of teams struggle to do that when they get such an incredible talent. So if like Gavin McKenna, knock on wood, he's in the CHL next season.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Bedard was going through and he was like his farewell tour and basically selling out every arena he went to. Like, if you get a chance to go and see Gavin McKenna, I would get out there. I know I will be. I've seen him play a few times, but he just gets better every time you watch him. Like, this guy is on like a 50-game point streak. It's amazing.
It's Stunning, man. The IQ, like Tyler Mulick says, is crazy. That goal was certainly trending. Let's continue along and get to our What's Trending segment for today, Liam. It's brought to you by Douglas Mattress. I sleep like a baby every night on my Douglas. Great value starting at just $599. A locally owned and operated Edmonton company. If you want to get one and you're in Edmonton, go to their storefront, Manchester Square, their first ever physical location, or visit them online, douglas.ca/OilersNation. What is trending? Ivan Demidov is trending, Liam. That back check effort, brutal. Got to figure that out if he wants to succeed at the NHL level. But 2 points in the first half of his NHL debut. I think it is safe to say he came as advertised.
Yeah, exciting for the Habs. They really welcomed him. Like the warm-up was a sellout. Like everyone was in their seats to watch him. There was obviously the video of people going to the airport. There was another video, and I don't know if he does this often, but Kirby Doc brought the bike out to the bench, like watched the morning skate. I can't imagine that was just for him. I feel like that's something he would do fairly often. It feels like a bit much of Kirby Doc to do, but can we also calm down? Not to be like a total downer on this, but everyone is just calling now the 3 other players taken out of him, not Celebrini, the 3 next, just like busts because Montreal got him at 5. Like, I think Leshuvov, is that his name?
Levshunov.
He's good.
I think the correct thing to do is to judge a whole draft class on one player playing one NHL game. That's my belief. You can
just coming over in general.
No, you can say different, but I don't
like
know.
Beckett Seneca, hey, maybe they could have took Demidov, but like I don't know. Sometimes these kids they don't fall because of skill. Like I think everyone would agree that Demidov is probably the second best player in this draft. People would say he might be the best, but like, they didn't know when he would be here.
Well, so that's what's interesting about this is these teams, and this was the thing with Michkov too.
Yeah.
He fell all the way to 8. The Russian thing, I think teams maybe overreacted a little bit. Can they get out of their contracts, all this stuff? And what these guys are kind of showing is like, yeah, they absolutely can get out of their contracts. Like, it is possible. If they want to come over and if you make it enticing enough, they will come.
Totally. And clearly they can also kind of force their way as well. Like Demidov stopped playing games he was with Moscow, right? He stopped playing games for them. And here he is to tell the tale about it all. And it's exciting. Montreal probably should have beat Chicago. I think that was also the funny part is they didn't beat Chicago, who had the second overall pick in that game, by the way. He played. He did a good game. So, yeah, I don't know. Exciting. It's another good player to bring to the NHL in an unreal market.
Yeah. Okay. What else was trending? Katy Perry went to space. You had this written down?
Yeah. I don't remember her leaving for space, and now all of a sudden she's back. She
was up for like a few hours.
Really? Yeah. Interesting.
11 minutes in orbit.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go. She kissed the ground when she came back. People were very upset about it.
Seems like a waste of a lot of things.
I just didn't know what was happening. Thought that was nuts.
Yeah. NHLPA player poll. This is always, every year, a tremendous example of not all the players watch all the games. And sometimes they just have a thought in their head and are like, that's like UC Saros still got votes for the best goalie in the NHL.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Connor Hellebuck only having 15% of the votes also seems a little bit crazy.
Back-to-back Vezina winners.
Yeah, Vasilevsky was first for people who don't know. Then it was Shesterkin. Bobrovsky also got votes.
Like Hellebuck not running away with this is criminal.
So let me get an understanding of this. You might know. They just vote for who they think is the best. They don't. Yep. I would assume they don't give like a top 5.
No,
right?
They just vote for the best.
So Bobrovsky didn't get like 8% of the 4th place votes. So he got 8% of the 1st place votes.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems just bonkers to me. So yeah, the player polls: McDavid best forward, best defenseman McCaw. I think we'll all agree those are right. Most complete player. Did you see it?
Well, so best overall forward was McDavid. Draisaitl did not get a single vote.
Yeah.
Which again,
he's gonna win MVP.
Crazy. Best overall defenseman, I don't have qualms with. Most complete player, Sid, Barkov, again, sure. Even Kopitar getting votes over Draisaitl is criminal.
I think Matthews getting them too is criminal.
Yeah, especially when Draisaitl's outscoring him this year.
Yeah.
Best playmaker, Kucherov over McDavid. By that big of a gap, whatever, sure.
Draisaitl got votes. 6%.
Yeah, he did. If you need to win a faceoff, who do you pick? Don't care. Smartest overall player, again, Crosby, then Kucherov, then McDavid. Best overall skater, McDavid ran away with that one. It was a landslide. Best fashion, David Pastrnak came in first. I think that's understandable.
Patrick Laine, 4th is interesting one for me. Never really jived with his style.
But he puts himself out there, which I think is what you're looking for.
Yeah, I guess. Evander Kane didn't get any votes despite having a clothing line.
I like this one. Which PWHL rulebook change would you like to see in the NHL? The jailbreak goal, where if you score shorthanded, your player gets to come out of the box. The point system came in second. First place finisher chooses playoff opponent at 16%. The league would never do that. No. Never.
No, the difference is the PWHL is trying to attract fans and new fans to watch something. The NHL doesn't need to do that. Although that would be awesome.
I like this one, the shootout one. A player is eligible at any time to take any number of shots as often as that shooting team chooses. So you could, with that rule, I believe we could get to a shootout and the Oilers just say McDavid 3 times.
Kind of like, was it TJ Oshie did it in the World Juniors or was it Taves?
Taves in the World Juniors, Oshie in the Olympics.
Okay, yeah. I like that rule. It makes it entertaining, the shootout, when we eventually get there.
And Edmonton was voted the second best ice in the NHL once again.
Woo!
Bell Center came in first on that one. So there you go. That is what's trending. Continuing along, you know what else is trending? It's the playoff race is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Let's get into it. It is the menu, and it's brought to you by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 Portable Glass Air Fryer.
Meet the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand.
It is a portable all-in-one system that includes 4-quart, 6-cup Tupperware glass containers and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispy is thermal shock resistant and can go from frozen to crispy in just minutes. With the Crispy Power Pod, you get the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. Cook a personal-sized meal in 7 minutes in the 6-cup container. Whether it's max crisp, bake, air fry, re-crisp, you can do it all with the Ninja Crispy. From prepping, cooking, storing anything from crispy favorites to one-dish meals. Visit their website in the link in the description and stay tuned because we are going to be giving one away. Shout out to Ninja Crispy. All right, tonight, Liam, here's what is on the line. The Calgary Flames are taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. That number one, Calgary needs to win to stay in, I suppose. And here's what they're going up against tonight in Vegas. A Golden Knights team that is going to sit Hanifin, Pietrangelo, Stone, Eichel, and Aiden Hill. Basically, their 5 best players are going to sit out tonight for the Golden Knights. So I think we can assume, let's walk down the world if Calgary gets a win. Mm-hmm. There are 2 teams, Minnesota and St. Louis. Here's how they clinch tonight. If Minnesota wins in any fashion, they are in. If Minnesota gets a point, they are in. Okay? Minnesota needs a point or a win in any way. Once they get a point, good. St. Louis is way more unique. Because St. Louis, it's not a guarantee that they would hold the tiebreaker over Calgary. If St. Louis wins in regulation, they are in. If St. Louis wins in overtime or a shootout, they will be at 96 points. But Calgary, with their 2 games in hand, could then win in regulation twice, tie them in the standings, but leapfrog them in the tiebreaker by 1 game. Crazy.
Do you think it'll happen?
I think one of those teams will leave the door open for Calgary. St. Louis gets Utah tonight, who, again, a pesky team. Minnesota gets Anaheim. I think what'll happen is St. Louis will win in overtime. And what it'll create is a very interesting conversation at the end of the Blues game. If they are tied with 3 minutes left, do they pull their goalie in the name of trying to get the regulation win? You would obviously be running the risk that you give up a goal, lose in regulation, and then Calgary with a win and an OT loss can jump you. So it would be a matter of, would St. Louis rather get to 95 points? Or would they guarantee 96 and have the tiebreaker?
I think you got to play just for the overtime at least, because getting the point that your odds are still in their favor for sure. Calgary, though, that we're obviously in Vegas tonight, resting a ton of guys. Like LA, I would assume, does something similar on Thursday as well. Like,
LA doesn't have anything to play for now.
Yeah, it's exciting that it's come down to this for all the teams. I really did think there was no chance.
Me too. Mulick says, I want to see the Flames get in to have them trapped in mediocrity forever. They are already guaranteed to be trading away their first-round pick. It is no longer protected because of how high up they finished. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot already. Really, really interesting. Again, Calgary needs 2 regulation wins in all likelihood, but they're playing 2 teams who have nothing left to play for. And there could be a scenario on Thursday where it is win and you're in for the Flames in their game against the Kings. Let's go out east, where the Montreal Canadiens lost in a shootout last night. Did you see all the drama in the shootout?
I think so. So Frank Nazar scored a goal that was disallowed on the ice, and then Patrick Laine went to take a shot and then was stopped.
Frank Nazar scores.
That's right. Yes.
The officials don't signal on the ice, and they don't know where the puck is. So on the broadcast and in the arena, they say no goal. At no point do the officials make any sort of a gesture that it is a goal or no goal.
Okay.
They were both right there watching it. Frank Nazar even said after the game, he went to the bench, did the flyby, and all his teammates were like, "What are you doing, man?" And he was like, "Well, I scored." And they were like, "Nah, no goal. Like, good try." And he was like, "No, I scored, guys." And no one believed him. So before the situation room could buzz down and say that puck went in because it got lodged in the back of the net.
Right. I saw that part.
Before the situation room could buzz down, Laine hopped over and they let him go shoot. And then they retroactively went back and were like, "Oh, that puck went in. Chicago scored."
So did Laine get to shoot again, or did Nazar end the game?
There was still one more round.
Oh,
Chicago missed. Nick Suzuki had to score to keep it alive. His shot went off the pad, off the post, straight up into the air. And while Soderblom was sitting there, the puck landed between his legs and landed flat.
Ooh.
It was the craziest shootout ever.
That's why we keep it. So we keep it around. Okay,
Here it
This
is.
is the Nazar. Yeah.
So see, it got lodged in the back of the net, and neither ref says anything because no one knows where the puck is, which is crazy that they didn't know where the puck was.
I feel like that's very clear where the puck went. I know that we know they scored, but like if he missed, it would have gone around the net.
A simple skate around the net, you could probably tell that there's a puck there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm no doctor.
So they went and grabbed a new puck and just let Laine shoot with a different puck. And then we're like, wait, where did the other puck go? It was crazy. The refs botched it. I think the league did the right thing. You have to count that. You
Yeah,
can't.
it went in.
And people were like, they should have let Laine shoot again. Why? Did he try not as hard?
So did Laine miss his shot?
Yeah.
Oh, and then they just skipped over him and said like Nazar scored. This
Yeah,
one
and
still
then
counts.
And then Chicago shot again,
Oh,
missed, and then
interesting.
Suzuki missed, and it was over.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting point because technically, shouldn't you have rewound time? I guess in a way of being like, hey, like technically, Laine. I don't know. It's complicated. They should have just noticed, hey, that puck went in, and look, there it is in the back of the net.
Isn't there a whole guy that's a goal judge for this whole thing in the building?
They don't have goal judges anymore.
So I guess, okay. Bring him back. Bring him
Really?
back.
I
It's
never
like,
thought about it, but
Look what happens when they're not there.
At least I believe it's like a ceremonial position. If you have someone who is still manually controlling a goal light,
They
have
just
no
get-
power.
And they're probably like 80
it's not like
years
in
old.
junior hockey when they come up to the guys, like, hey, did it go in? And he's the home ice guy's like, and the away team's goes, like, nope.
Yeah.
That I've seen it happen so many times. I think it's very annoying in the moment. But
So
it's
here's
crazy
what's
that
on the
happens.
line in the East for the playoffs. Columbus is 4 points back of Montreal. If they win both their games in regulation, they will have the tiebreaker. If they lose one game in regulation, or if they go to overtime, they're done. They're cooked. Montreal can also clinch if they beat Carolina later in the week. Carolina has nothing to play for. So Montreal wins or gets a point, they're in. But if Columbus wins twice in regulation and Montreal loses in regulation, they're in, which means I don't think St. Louis would do it, but Columbus is in the spot where if they are tied late, they have to pull the goalie because you do not get in with overtime wins.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, that one feels a little less likely to me than the West.
Yeah, the West, just because you can have either one of Minnesota or St. Louis lose,
Yeah.
or St. Louis wins in overtime, or St. Louis loses in OT. Like, this one needs to go perfect for Columbus, and I don't think it will, but they played some great hockey.
It's too bad.
Yep.
It really is. I think we all wanted Columbus to get in it once it started to become more realistic. But either way, what a fantastic season for them, and obviously a ton of credit to that group in Columbus.
Yeah. Doug Waite, read my comment. If this was during regular play, they would rewind replay if they missed a goal. So shouldn't Laine reshoot?
It's kind of what I was thinking too.
But
I
it's
feel
a
like they
shootout,
just
it's
screwed.
different.
They screwed up this whole thing.
Yeah, like the refs botched this. The league was covering for the refs. And
Which
like,
is good that they actually stepped in and just allowed
can you
it to
imagine the
happen.
outrage if they would have let Laine shoot again and he scored? Everyone would have just been like, the league wants the Habs to win. The league wants the Habs to win.
Yeah, true. again, I like Darren's point. Skate around the net and see that the puck is just there.
Yeah, like if the refs do their
too
jobs.
logical? Is that too?
Like, would you not just look? Like, God.
Quote from Connor McDavid.
I saw this. This is good.
He said, quote, "I don't like this whole notion that we're the walking wounded here. We're ready to roll."
I mean, I think it's fair for people to be like, hey, these guys are injured because nobody's playing and everyone's clearly getting injured. But I like the comment.
I love the passion and the fire from McDavid. But him again, I don't like this whole notion that we're the walking wounded here. Connor, you're healthy and you chose not to play last night.
Draisaitl didn't play. Hyman.
Everyone's hurt.
You also are the walking wounded.
We also just watched Ekholm leave the game after making no contact. Trent Frederick has played 7 minutes since we acquired him.
Also,
like, come on.
Corey Perry basically called you guys the walking wounded.
Yeah.
Oh, Connor. Let's wrap up the show for our friends at Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. NBA play-in tournament tonight. Are we Golden State against Ja Morant and the Grizzlies?
Aaron?
I think I'm going to go with Golden State on that one.
I haven't watched any basketball this year.
They've been an entirely different team since Jay Butt joined the
I
squad.
heard that.
So this is part one of the plan where you have the Grizzlies and Warriors in the West and the Hawks and Magic in the East. Between the Hawks and Magic, Grizzlies, Warriors, the winner gets the 7 seed and is in. The loser has to go to part 2 of the play-in, where they will face the winner of the 8 and 9 seeds. So,
right.
Or the 9 and 10 seeds. Sorry,
Yeah,
it's a little confusing.
it is. I'm glad the NHL doesn't do this.
Yeah, it just seems like a layer of confusion.
See now, because it's when it first happened with the play-in, I think everybody was very in support of it. They're like, "This is sick," because normally in the NBA, the 1 versus 8 goes in a 4-game sweep, and you don't get actual playoffs starting till like the second or third round. You get a little bit of competition here, but then it's once again the winner just gets smoked by the 1 seed again.
Yeah,
it's kind of delaying the inevitable.
NHL more balanced for sure.
Yep. Blue Jays tonight, Gosman on the bump. They're underdogs against the Braves. They did lose last night, but again, Gosman versus Swellenbach, probably taking the under in this one. Those are two pretty good pitchers.
Are the Braves good?
They started terribly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well below 500.
Oh, wow.
Like
MLB
5-11. 6
What is that one fella back? Don't
yet.
tell me. Acuna?
Acuna?
No.
Acuna? No.
Yeah, the Braves are 5-11 on the year. No bueno. All right. That is a wrap on today's show. Tomorrow, Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day, the finale of the Bet365 Game Day Betting Challenge.
I wonder who'll finish last.
You got a little bit of a lead. So we're going to also, you have to set yours first.
No.
Because I need to be able to fade off of you.
Just know that I'm not going to do anything big. That's all I'll tell you.
Yeah, I
never
guess.
go
I'm
big.
throwing a flag on that.
Yeah,
That
that's so
can't.
unfair.
Now, it would make for more interesting, but
That's what I care about.
no, I'm impartial in this way. I can't do that to my boy
I'm going to
Liam.
place my bet at the regular hour. I
right.
do it. 5 minutes
We know
before the
Liam's
show.
is going to be like Boosh 3
All right,
shots,
fine,
maybe
fine.
2 shots, just
Fine.
so he goes up.
Okay.
Suspension.
We'll see everybody tomorrow. Shout out to Steven Ellis. Devin Dubnik will be on the program tomorrow, by the way. But that's a wrap on today's edition of the show. Enjoy your Tuesday. Oil up.